Hey everybody, welcome back to my four-part series of the Gatti Morrison case study. Really excited to share the results with you guys, but I just want to take a quick trip back and kind of review what we had talked about. So in the first video, we were on site. We talked about Gatti Morrison, their business, some of their supply chain challenges, and what they were looking to have me evaluate. Then we took a walk around the warehouse. We looked at the different types of products they sell, how they were packaged, and then if you call my last video, the third video, I mapped out what their supply chain looks like. So now what I want to talk to you guys about is what my findings were, okay? So when I was at Gatti Morrison, there were a couple areas they asked me to look at. The first was the inbound side, okay? And if you recall, we looked at how many suppliers they have, and they have about 7. And they ship from various locations within the country, okay? And they all come into their warehouses. And so what we looked at was we took some of the invoices and we went back to those suppliers and we said, hey, can you please break out the invoice to show what the cost of the product is versus what the cost of the freight is? And out of all those suppliers, they have about 30 some lanes, okay? And of those 30 lanes, we found 14 lanes where there was savings on the truckload side. So in talking with Gatti Morrison, we presented those savings to them, and one of the things they were concerned about was, okay, how are we going to manage these vendors? Because as it stands right now, they place the purchase order and the supplier handles all of that. So there's 2 solutions, and we're going to take a look at both of them and figure out what's the best route. But first, we go back and say, hey, of these lanes we've identified, here's the savings we've uncovered. Can you go back and talk to your carriers and have them sharpen the pencil and bring their rates within where the market needs to be? So that could be the first one. And I've had success where we've just gone back with other companies and suppliers and said, hey, we want to see a reduction in this freight cost. We know where the market is. Can you make that adjustment? And that has worked. Now, if they decide to say, hey, listen, it's a cost of doing business, we can maybe bring it back, but we're still going to have a markup. Now Gatti Morrison has a decision to make. How much is that markup really going to be? Or do they want to try and manage those inbound lanes on their own? And I have some solutions I can provide them. So that was the first piece, okay? The second piece we talked about was the outbound side, where they have a lot of LTL shipments. Most of it is within region, okay? So the sites and the facilities they're delivering to, we talked about, they are job sites, construction sites. So they have the requirements where a lift gate could be required, a straight truck might be required to deliver, or a call for appointment. So we took a look at that data and 2 things came up. We said most of it, because it's regional, you can stay with your regional carriers or you can shift it to one carrier and use the volume as a leverage for savings. The other piece I recommended them, and they're going to take a look at this, is when we looked at the accessorials and it added up to a substantial amount of money, we said, are you paying those or are you passing those costs on to your customers? And what Gatti Morrison does is typically a prepay and add. So they have the line haul costs, the fuel costs, but a lot of times they're eating those accessorial charges. So now they have some decisions to make. Here's what the savings could be on an annual basis. Do you want to go back and have a conversation with those customers? Do you want to split that cost? And what we also have suggested is with the sales team, when you are going out and you're targeting new business, find out from your potential customer what their delivery requirements are. Talk to the construction foreman, the job site manager, whoever it is, to figure out what sort of requirements they're going to have to deliver their job site. And then that way we can have that buffered into the invoice so Gatti Morrison's not eating those accessorial costs, okay? With all that said, there's another interesting tidbit I want to share with you guys. As I was walking around the warehouse, and I had mentioned that Gatti Morrison, one of the ways they deliver to their customers is they have their own fleet of trucks. Well, they also happen to have a tractor trailer. And it's very simple. It's a day cab. So again, it's not overnight deliveries. They're picking up from they're delivering from their warehouse to the job site same day and coming back. And the trailer they have connected to it is a flatbed. And so one of the questions I posed them is I said, when your driver makes the deliveries to your job sites, does he come back empty? And they said, yes. And my question to them was, instead of him coming back to your location empty, what if we were able to find him some product or some freight to pick up when he delivers to bring back up to within your area where your warehouses are located, and see if we can add a little bit of revenue and profit to your company? So they were intrigued by this. So we're going to explore this a little bit further, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to propose getting set up with some brokers, finding out where Gatti Morrison is delivering that truck on certain days of the week, seeing if those brokers have relationships with other shippers that ship on certain days, and see if there's a possibility to get a dedicated lane. Now, the tricky part with this is Gatti Morrison can't have that truck tied up. So if that truck picks up when they're coming back up to King of Prussia or Allentown, they can't be delayed. Because number one, you're dealing with hours of service, okay? And that truck is a day cab, it's not a sleeper cab. And the second piece is the driver needs to get home so they have the truck the next day so they can make their deliveries. So a drop trailer situation shipper's not gonna work. It's gonna have to be a live load. And so we wanna look at that. But that's another way that Gatti Morrison will be able to add to their top line and their bottom line. And I'm very excited to find this opportunity. So what they've decided long-term is we're gonna look at the inbound piece. Okay, that's the first area we're gonna target for the savings. The LTL piece is gonna take some time because we really wanna understand what customers are driving that. And then with the tractor trailer, talking with the brokers and seeing it. So we don't want to turn this all on at once because they're a small business. To implement these types of changes is going to take time. So we're going to do one thing at a time. And I'm predicting this is probably going to be a 6 to 8 month project with them. So I'm really excited to share these results. I hope you guys like this. If you know of small business owners or private equity companies that own businesses and they're looking for these types of solutions, I'm your guy. Don't forget to subscribe and like and visit my website, www.hoffmansupplychainadvisors.com. Thank you.